Hey guys, welcome back. Let's talk about reading wind, making longer shots. I'd say any shot over 200 to 300 yards, the wind starts coming into play and you need to start accounting and holding into the wind or dialing into the wind to make those longer shots hit on target. One of the most common ways to read wind is read the mirage. And it's important to understand that the mirage is your number one friend when it comes to reading wind. And for you guys that might not understand what mirage is heat waves. The heat waves that you see, sometimes when you're driving down the road, you can see a long ways, you can see the heat waves, that's mirage. And with a good pair of optics, you can read those heat waves and they'll tell you what the wind is doing and how fast the wind's going. So what you're gonna wanna do, I drew up a little bit of a chart here for you, but what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna pull your spotting scope up and focus on something about midway to the target. The wind that's at about midway, if I could just pick one wind to look at, that's the wind I would look at. Now, taking into account for some wind closer to you, some wind closer to the target, those things are all important, and you can do that and add that into the math as well. But focus on an object, say you're shooting 800 yards, focus on something at 400 yards, get it nice and crisp and clean, and then pull your scope up on your target. So now you're actually focused on the wind or the mirage halfway to your target. And if you're seeing the mirage boiling straight up, you see these squiggly lines, you're just seeing it go straight up. That's 0 to 2 miles an hour. That's basically no wind. If you're seeing it starting to go sideways a little bit, you're talking, a 3 to 4 mile an hour wind. A little more sideways, you're talking 5 to 6 mile an hour. In here, you're seeing them at a 45-degree angle, about here. You've seen them flatten out a little bit more, you got a 7 to 8 mile an hour wind, and if you're seeing them completely parallel, then you have a 9 to 10 mile an hour wind. And if those squigglies start flattening out to where you're just seeing a constant motion, you probably have greater than 12 mile an hour wind. So that's your friend. That's going to be a great way for you to start seeing that. If you have a problem seeing the mirage, sometimes you can take your focus and just play with your focus a little bit and take it in or out and actually start picking that up. But you want to make sure that you're seeing that mirage about halfway to the target. So that's what you'd be doing there. So there's also some ways you can read wind by looking at vegetation. You can see what the leaves are doing. You can see what the grass is doing. See which direction the leaves are being pushed or the grass is being pushed. If you're seeing the grass barely moving, if you're seeing the leaves barely moving, you're probably in this 3 to 4 mile an hour wind. You don't have a lot of wind, but it's still enough to probably have to account for to get your bullet in the bullseye. You're seeing some higher winds. These kind of winds. You're going to start seeing the leaves swaying a little bit more. When you're getting up into here, you're going to start seeing the leaves and the smaller branches moving with the wind. And so those are some things you can gauge off of that. You can also sometimes, it depends where you are and what time of the year, sometimes you can see debris or floaties or cobwebs or pollen and stuff like that floating through the air, and then you can gauge some things off of that as well. So, learning some of those things, I think is important to getting that first round hit when you're shooting far. There's some gadgets you can get your hands on, like this Kestrel. It has a wind meter in it. There is this little guy that plugs into the top of a smartphone, or with an iPhone, you would need an adapter. But there's an app that you can download with this SIG rangefinder. Let me pull it up for you. SIG Kilo 2400 rangefinder has this app inside it that gives you your wind speed. Right there, we got a wind of 5 miles an hour, just with blowing in it. So these rangefinders are super awesome. If you haven't seen them, check them out. SIG Kilo 2400 ABS. They are a one unit. You can put all your ballistics in. You put it in your app on the phone and Bluetooth it into here. But literally by the click of a button, it's going to tell you exactly what your bullet drop is. It takes in for all the variables, the elevation, the barometric pressure. It's going to take into account for your angles, all of that. So it's a really sweet unit. Let me know if you want any of those. I can get my hands on them. Got a couple on order right now. But great tools, and this comes with that. All right, so I know if you apply this, it's going to help you read the wind and put those bullets on target. All right, so a few other tips that I've learned, hacks, whatever you want to call them. One is this. Got two of them here. So an easy way to make a phone scope, the cheapest way for you to make a phone scope, where you can turn this into a camera with a massive zoom, is literally when you buy a spotting scope, they come with a cap. You figure it out yet? They come with a cap. Just take that cap, drill you a hole, cut you a hole right dead smack in the middle, about a 1/2 inch round, whatever you got to do to get your camera to see through it. Get you a spare cheap case on Amazon for $5. Take some super glue, some fletching glue, something like that, and glue that cap dead smack over the top of your camera on your case. And it is the most simple way, the most cheapest way to make a phone scope. So when you're in the field, you literally can pull this thing out anywhere and you can just smash it right onto your... How simple does that get? There's a lot of them on the market. You can go buy universal ones, but I found a lot of them, they're not this nice to use because they're adjustable. They come with some, I don't know, adjustables, Velcros, whatever. You pull them out and you try to get them on and it takes a little bit for you to get it just perfect and then nobody can breathe on it, you know, kind of deal. So this is like, you can stuff it in your pack. Just pull it out, it's done. Boom, you got it. So let me see if I can turn this thing on. So I mean, you can see, I mean, you ain't gonna see nothing because everything's too close, but you can see I got a full screen on that thing, without even trying. So that's a great little hack that is cheap, hardly costs you anything. And then it allows you to use your spotting scope as a, as a camera to record your longer shots. Just a tip when you're shooting long, I wouldn't take a 700-800,000 yard shot unless you have it on video. Your video is worth so much after the shot because when it's so far, things happen really fast. Your spotter might not even be able to tell you exactly what happened. You might not have been able to see exactly where that bullet hit. All you see is the animal ran off, and you'll be amazed how hard it can be, especially in the mountains, to go 700 yards across and up the other side and go back to the spot that you shot at. And the video allows you to literally look at everything backwards and go right to that spot. And so it just helps with a bunch of things. You can see where you hit. You can see if you need to look at, okay, where was that animal at? Where was this at? What tree was he by? Was there a fallen log there? Those kind of things. And I've almost every time I've made a longer shot in the mountains like that, I've had to go back to my video to look at things and look at things backwards when I'm over there. Maybe I could find a tree where a branch hung down and I could see he was lined up with that. And so I could walk up till I could find that distinct, whatever. I shot a bear last year. It wasn't even that far. It was like 500 yards, but it was still, you got over the other side, everything looked different. And I was able to take my camera and there was this pine tree that had these branches hanging like this. And I was able to look backwards and find that tree. Then I was able to go up the mountain till that one particular branch lined up with right where the bear had been. And I literally walked up till I was lined up with that and looked down and there was blood. And without that, it would have been a nightmare to find it because it's most of the time it looks open from here, looking over there. But when you get over there, it's not near as open as it looks. So the other thing I really like is this piece here. It's called an RF cam cradle. This is from somebody in Idaho. I forget the name of the company, but if you Google RF cam cradle, I'm sure you'll be able to find this. But this is a sweet piece that allows you to put your rangefinder on top. It allows you to put a camera in here and sync everything together to where when you're looking at something, your spotting scope, your rangefinder's on it, your camera's on it. And so it just allows you to be really quick. So if you're spotting, you're like, hey, there's something, you can literally just pull up, click, boom, you got a range. You can get a video roll. And the other thing too, I often like to do with this video camera is have it zoomed out a little bit and then use the phone scope on here to get the shot up close. And so you have two video cameras going. The other thing too is sometimes it can be hard to find something in your scope when you're trying to find it and you're like, okay, where was that? Where was that? And you end up going up in the skyline and looking for something and then coming down or whatever. When this rangefinder is zeroed, you have such a bigger view, you can just pull up and find it in your rangefinder and then it's going to be in here. And so there's some things like that that really makes that long range game easy. It makes you get on target faster. It has all the things lined up for you already. So those are just a couple tips. I hope they help. I hope you have an awesome day. I hope you have fun at the range. I hope you have a good hunting season this coming fall.